My name is Joanna. I grew up without my mother, who left too soon. Very young, I had to learn to live with her absence. Dad remarried a gentle woman, a stepmother who always treated me like her own daughter. She never made a difference between us, and I'm grateful for that. But today, everything is different. I'm 6 months pregnant, and this joy I carry inside me is turning into a heavy burden. Every day, my stepmother's pressure to find out who the father is grows. She wants to understand, to know, but I keep silent. Because this secret is a burden I cannot share with anyone. The father is Dad, my own father, the man I love, the only one I've ever loved. I know it's crazy, forbidden, heartbreaking, but I'm in love with him. He has been gentle, present, caring. Even with my growing belly, he never left me. Just yesterday, after the vigil, we shared a tender moment, a night full of silent promises. But this truth is poison. Dad defends his silence when my stepmother harasses me, and between them, war rages. I'm tired. I've had enough of lying. I want to confess everything. Either my stepmother accepts this impossible situation, or she leaves and finally lets us be. Since I've been pregnant, the house has become a battlefield. My stepmother insists, questions, scrutinizes my every move, trying to uncover the truth. She doesn't understand why I shut down, why I refuse to speak. Dad, meanwhile, is growing more distant. He seems to carry an invisible weight. When my stepmother demands answers, he closes up, refuses to respond, which sparks fights. Their conflict tears me apart. Every night, I hear their voices rising in the kitchen, harsh words and heavy silences. And I feel trapped between them. I can't tell her, not to Dad, nor to my stepmother. I'm alone with this secret. And the worst part is I don't hate Dad, but love him deeply. This man, who should be my father, is also the man I desire. I remember his soft gaze, his reassuring touches. He is my refuge, even if he is also my condemnation. I know what we're doing is forbidden, monstrous in everyone's eyes. But it's my truth. Sometimes, I wonder if love can really be defined by rules. I wish he would open his heart, tell me what he really feels. But he stays silent, burying his emotions. I'm tired, Joanna. Exhausted. My pregnancy advances, and my belly grows day by day. Every movement reminds me of the presence of this child, this unbreakable bond between Dad and me. My stepmother's looks become more accusatory. She suspects something, she knows. One evening, she came to my room, eyes full of anger and sadness. Joanna, tell me the truth. Who's the father? You can tell me everything. I refused to speak. Silence was my only refuge. I saw the disappointment in her eyes, yet she kept treating me like her daughter. But I knew this secret was slowly destroying our fragile relationship. Dad, on his side, became more distant. He avoided my gaze, was absent. I felt he suffered as much as I did, but he didn't know how to act. I understand him, despite everything. The love I feel for him is stronger than shame, stronger than fear. But fear is there. Fear of losing my family, fear of being rejected, fear that this secret will explode. Sometimes I dream of a normal life, where I could love freely, where I could shout to the world that this child is our miracle. But I know that dream is impossible. One afternoon, while Dad was at work, my stepmother brought up the subject again. She sat beside me, her voice softer, almost pleading. Joanna, you know I love you like my own daughter. I just want to understand. I felt tears rise but held them back. How could I explain the unexplainable? How to tell her that the man I should call Dad is also the man I love? I only asked her for time, silence, patience. She nodded, but her gaze was heavy with questions. I felt guilty for imposing this burden on her. At night, I often dreamed of Dad, his protective arms, his smile that calms me. But I knew this happiness was fragile, forbidden. One day, the truth would burst out, and I didn't know what would remain of us. I wondered if love could survive such a weight, if Dad felt the same or was just a prisoner of his own silence. I decided to speak to him, to tell him how much I loved him, despite everything. For him, for our child, for me. But I dreaded his reaction, feared he would reject me, deny his feelings. I was ready for anything except losing him. One evening, after a long day, Dad came to find me in my room. He sat beside me, and for the first time in a long while, took my hand. Joanna, I know everything. Those words echoed in my chest like thunder. I looked at him, eyes full of tears. He continued, voice broken. "I love you too." A mix of pain and relief overwhelmed me. We were two lost souls, bound by forbidden love. He promised to protect our secret, to watch over me and our child. That promise was fragile, but it gave me hope. However, I knew this secret couldn't stay hidden forever. My stepmother wouldn't give up, and I was ready to face the storm as long as we stayed united. The following days were filled with tension, silences, and looks heavy with unspoken words, but also stolen tenderness, moments shared in the shadows. I felt our love growing despite the obstacles, but this peace was fragile, and I knew the moment of truth was approaching. One morning, my stepmother decided to talk to Dad. They had a long, tense conversation. I heard them behind the door, their voices mixed with anger and worry. I knew the truth was about to come out. A few days later, she came to see me, calmer but determined. "Joanna, I want you to know I love you, but I can't accept this situation." She gave me a cruel choice: tell her the truth or leave. My heart broke. I looked at our house, our family, and realized nothing would ever be the same. I had to choose between safety and truth, between the love I have for Dad and respect for my stepmother. I chose truth. I confessed everything, without hiding anything. She cried, then looked me in the eyes, with a strength I didn't know she had. "I won't leave, Joanna." She stayed, but our lives were forever marked. Acceptance came with pain, and I knew the hardest part was yet to come. The following days were a mix of conflicts and reconciliations. My stepmother tried to find her place in this new fragile balance. Dad and I did our best to protect our child, but the weight of the secret, now revealed, was heavy. The looks of others, whispers, fear of judgment. Sometimes I felt isolated, misunderstood. Yet, deep inside me, a glimmer of hope shone. Our love, forbidden as it was, had created a new family. I wondered how our child would grow, how he would understand this story. But for now, I just wanted to live, love, and hope. I knew we had to be strong, that the future would be full of challenges. But love, even the most complicated, could overcome everything. And I was ready to do anything for him, for us. Over time, our relationship evolved. Dad and my stepmother found a new respect for each other, a difficult but necessary coexistence. I felt that, despite everything, they wanted the best for me. I focused on my pregnancy, on the little being growing inside me. Every kick reminded me that love, even in pain, could create life. But sometimes, guilt gnawed at me. How would I explain to my child his origin? How to tell him his father is also his grandfather? I had no answers. Dad and I decided to wait for the right moment, when he'd be old enough to understand. I wanted our child to grow up in love, not in judgment. Despite the challenges, we were a family, and that no one could take away from us. The birth of my child was a moment of intense happiness. In Dad's arms, I felt that all our struggle had a reason. This baby, this miracle, was our eternal bond. My stepmother was there, silent but present. We formed a strange family, broken but united. The first months were filled with sweetness and challenges. I felt that, despite the looks and whispers, our love grew. I knew the road would be long, but I was ready to walk it. Dad was a caring father, a man transformed by love, and I was a mother ready to do anything to protect my child. Every day, I told myself that, despite everything, love could triumph. But society doesn't forgive so easily. Neighbors, extended family, friends, all had their opinions, often cruel. Judgments poured down, doors closed. Sometimes, I felt loneliness creeping in. Dad and I were tired of fighting the whole world, but we couldn't give up. For our child, for our love, we learned to protect ourselves, to ignore negative voices, to build a cocoon away from storms. It was hard, but necessary, and deep down, it made us stronger. Over time, pain gave way to fragile acceptance. My stepmother, Dad, and I found a kind of peace. We learned to live with this secret turned light. My child grows up innocent and loving, far from judgment. Dad became a changed man, aware of his mistakes, but also of his responsibilities. As for me, I became a strong woman, ready to face all obstacles. Our story remains complex, painful, but it is also a story of love, a story that defies conventions, but above all speaks of courage and truth. Today, I look at my child and know that, despite everything, we did what was necessary. Love, even forbidden, can create miracles. I chose to no longer hide the truth, to face it with courage. My stepmother stayed, not as an enemy, but as an unexpected ally. Dad is by my side, loving and protective. We are a family, imperfect but united. And that's all that matters. I am Joanna, woman, mother, and I chose love, even in its most complex forms.